Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Unspoken Truth Podcast, where the mission is to hear the story, to have the margarita conversation instead of the Diet Coke one, and to share the amazingness and superpower of every woman that comes on the podcast. My name is Paige Brown, certified leadership and shadow work coach, nationally certified counselor with over 16 years of experience in shadow work and self-sabotage. And today I am joined by Denicia Hilton Harper, holistic well-being consultant, doctor of Oriental medicine, and medical intuitive. And she appreciates being able to witness the size of relief and transformations as women see the connection between the expression of core desires and holistic signals popping up in the whole body, all while experiencing rich relationships with self and others sustainably without sacrificing themselves along the way. She's also the founder of The Perfect Playground, where she invites introverts, empaths, and sensitives to play their way to discovering their unique journey to navigating boundaries, burnout, and being authentic, using the signals coming from the whole body as guidance to create personalized self-care practices. She's awesome. I'm just going to say that right now. She's amazing. She is one of the first people that I talked to when I was putting this podcast together, and she just came from such a unique perspective on helping sensitives. And I had not had a conversation with somebody who specifically specializes in that. And I just think she's such a powerhouse to do this. So first of all, thank you for coming. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Paige, for welcoming me.
And it's just so fun. And I love how it's the playground. Like, it's playful, it's fun. It doesn't sound intimidating, even though I think most of our lives, because I'm a sensitive person too, it feels very intimidating and overwhelming. So I would love for you, since other people do not know who you are, to talk about what you do and sort of why you started doing this in the first place, and all the things. Like, share all the things.
Share what I can right now.
Yes, as much as you possibly can. We'll have conversation.
Well, I mean, yeah. So thanks a lot for sure for welcoming me to the space. Like, I'm so excited because I know me and you've had some really luscious conversations before. So I know this is going to be awesome for people. I mean, like you said, I started out as a doctor of Eastern medicine. So practicing that, and I just want to tell people too, right? I want to inform them. Some people think that practicing Chinese medicine is just acupuncture. It's really not. There's actually, acupuncture is one modality out of all of it. And so for myself, even while I was in school, I was like, I'm not just calling myself an acupuncturist, because there's more to it that I know of what I'm going to do with people. So you'll see that that was my beginning of really understanding just how it is that what is going on in our life, like the environments that we're in and the environments that are within us, and how that comes out in the form of these physical symptoms. And so now, it's been more than 10 years now. So for me, they really do carry messages. I call them signals because signals are literally signaling something, grabbing your attention. And so even then, it's just seeing that, if it's grabbing our attention, what is it grabbing our attention for, right? Mm-hmm. And so then as I was working with people, the pattern I started seeing with people was that it was actually more related to, it was a core desire of themselves. It was a core being of them, some aspect that just was not expressing itself, and expression in all of its myriad of ways, right? So it could be sure, we can do a food recommendation, right? But then you can make the recommendation and see what happens, but come to find out, it wasn't really going to, because the expression for them came out of a history of trouble with eating, history of at home, it could be a parent in the way that they would control the way that they ate, or it was, this is how I'm going to control for myself because I felt like I was out of control in all these other places in my life. And so it became, that's where it was, that it was just whoa, you're seeing more. It's more than just, oh, eat this, don't eat that, eat it like this, don't eat it like that. It was way more than that. And it was just no, it's part of that person, their being. And so I just kept seeing it over and over and over and over, that it was like, it felt like I became like, I would have secrets for people. They tell me secrets, right? Like because they're not telling anyone else. And so it could be those secret desires. It could be that they were pregnant. Like I'm one of the first people that they tell because they're working on that, or, their menstrual cycle all of a sudden is like the best that they've ever had in like years kind of thing. So it was just like interesting, like that's pretty cool, but that's the way that it was showing up. But really what happened, the magic was identifying and becoming aware of some core desire for them. And then let's create the pathway for that to express itself, and for it to express itself where you can do that confidently, right? And so like it kind of over time, it in my head I started seeing like visuals, and I was like, it's like it's this playground, right? And so I'm like, when you're at a playground, like what happens at a playground? And then so it just kind of, it morphed into, well, yeah, that's like a cool spot where a lot of transformations for people happen, right? Like,
that's true.
And not only that, but nature, like all elements of nature are on a playground, right? So if we stick with just Chinese medicine, all of them are there, like the fire, earth, metal, water, and wood, they're all there. But then there's still other modalities where you do have air, you do have steel, like, and so like all of them, like the spirit is there in the playground. And it's like, there's a reason why in neighborhoods they want to put a playground there, and they'll see the difference in the quality of life for people around the area, before, hopefully, like when people aren't doing things that they know they're not supposed to be doing there. But like the idea of this playground just being this like a community hub, you're taking risks because just by going down a slide, you don't know what's going to happen. But like your creativity in a sandbox comes out, your test of strength going across monkey bars, like you're just, so much happens at a playground. And I was like, you know what? That's what it is. I would love for people to feel like they're on a playground, because usually when they're on a playground, people like, it's kind of like the drink, like how in drinking your inhibitions go down. Like on a playground, a lot of people's inhibitions can go away. Like, because they're just like, screw it, I'm on a playground, like whatever, hell yeah, I'm gonna go and swing, and I'm just gonna like do whatever.
It's like adventure park stuff. It's almost like the adventure parks, like you're all of a sudden you conquer the heights of going in there.
Exactly. And that's actually like the perfect playground is like a space, but that's the membership, is the adventure park. It's literally called an adventure park, and with themed areas that I see as playing like these themes. They're themed on the adventure park, but they are actually aspects.
I didn't even know that. Listen to that.
I didn't even know that part. Did Paige know this? But yeah, it's called the Perfect Playground Adventure Park, and so like each of those themed areas are there.
I'm just that good, okay? Like seriously, I'm intuitive, so this is what this is playing out here. No, but I absolutely love this, because I think you're so right, because I feel like we could talk about this in every aspect. Like you can see at least in my work as well, because I know it's different than yours in compartments, but like I see that all the time. Like this, like the blocks or the things that they're concentrating on, the problems that they have in their lives, is because the core desire or purpose is not really either being expressed, or it's not
known,
being identified. Like it's not even, or yeah, it's like not identified. It's not, it's just not in that present state of mind. And so until you get to like, that's why like some of the hardest questions I ever ask when I work with people is like, what do you want? Because they literally go like, oh, like, and they can 9 times out of 10 name me everything everybody else wants in their life, but not anything that they want, because they just haven't gone there. They haven't allowed themselves to go there. And it's such a magical thing when you allow somebody to go there, because then everything becomes that thing. And it's not in a bad way, but like, this is my purpose. This is the thing that I want to do in life. Like as soon as I clicked into, like I've always worked with men and women. But when I really was like, I really want to work with, I think, more women. Like, I always, if a guy comes up to me and says like, oh, I really would like to work with you, I do entertain the idea, because I'm like, if they're the right type of person. But the thing is like most of my heart goes to women, and all of a sudden it was just like this opening of things, and specifically women in business because of the way that they want to thrive, right? So for me, it's like that was my purpose. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I do see, we were talking briefly before we started the recording, and Denise was like, my purpose is not to talk to 10,000 people at one time. And I'm like, I'll do it. Like, I will totally do it. Like, that is me. Like, and it's so funny because I never would have done that. Like, if you went 10 years ago, me, I would have been like, oh, I'm gonna have heart palpitations. Like, oh my gosh. And then we were talking about this, like, before the call, and it was like, you know, her human design and everything. It's like, it shows that, like, I don't need to be on the stage. And my human design is like, no, you should be. I was just like, oh. And I didn't know. And I honestly only really discovered human design like 3 years ago. Like, really, like started. I mean, I knew about it, but I really didn't do like deep dives on it until about 3 years ago. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Cause like, I was like 6 years ago. It was like 6 years ago. I was like, I want the microphone. I don't know why. I want a microphone. I don't know why it took me this long to do a podcast, because I was like, this is like the whole, like, there's a microphone right here. But like, but for me, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. And it's almost like for me, I have to get so uncomfortable, like almost like nauseated, so that I can push like the threshold, right? Hit the threshold and push past it so that I get to that purpose for me. Like other people, it's like, I do not want to, I can't touch that with a 10-foot pole, right? Like, they're like, this is not who I am. But I love that because it's so specific, like that playground analogy of like all I kept thinking when you were talking was, you remember that, like, okay, some of you listening to this might not be old enough to remember this. But there was like this thing called the merry-go-round. It was like the wheel of death, because like you would get it to go and then you'd hang on for dear life and hope that you weren't going to get thrown from it.
Yeah.
And that's all I kept thinking was
the
like
centrifugal force.
Yes. It was like the gravitron, but not, because it's not safe at all. And it was like, all I kept thinking in my head while you were describing this was like, okay, it's like the, you know, those adventurous spirited people that are like in the middle of the merry-go-round thing. And then like the cautious people that are on the things with the springs, just kind of.
That's me. That's me. So.
And I was the merry-go-round kid. Like, that was me. Like, I was like, hold on for dear life. Let's go. Like,
but I mean,
amazing.
Even with that, like, you have, like, so here's like a little sneak peek, actually. That's one of the trainings, is where you get to, it's a play shop that I guide people through in building their own playground. And so then we go into the meanings of these, right? And so like one of those, I mean, when you're on the one that you're talking about, I mean, typically too, you're on there with somebody else, and it's like, there's an element of trust, right? Because somebody's level of intensity of going around could be different than someone else's. And then it's like this trust that, will they respect what I'm literally telling you? That's what an example of boundaries, right? And then and so it's just like, and then it also can represent like where it is that we circle in our heads about things. And then it's like, are we gonna keep circling until the point like we just like flung off, like you know, like, okay. And
I was
like,
totally that kid. I was like,
like, wait, what?
But it's like, but there's also like, I think there's something to the fact that these are all different personalities as well. So it's like, you have like I'm that kid, and I still think of myself as a kid. I honestly do. I'm like the kid that wants to skip through Disney World, and I'm 41 years old, and I'm totally fine with that. But what I'm saying is like, I am that person that has to be pushed. Like, I have to be pushed. I have to be coached in a way. Like, if I practice what I preach, I always have a coach or a mentor I'm working with that is slightly ahead of me to like keep pulling me on. And I love that for me. But every person I hire is honestly terrifying. Like, it's like, because, and I love them with my whole heart, and they're amazing human beings. So if my current one is listening to this right now, I love you. I'm not saying you're terrifying, but what I'm saying is, but they make me scared. And it's because like I have this vision for myself that's huge. I have a huge vision. I want to be on stages. I want to be changing lives. I really want to be in this more active space than I'm at now, instead of doing like piecemealing the changes together, which I feel like I do with one-to-ones. And I love my one-to-ones with all my heart, and they're amazing human beings, but I want to do more like massive transformation work. That's what I really feel called to do. And I feel like I'm not going to be able to hit my purpose if I stay in this container, right? So that's how I feel. So when this person that I hired most recently, she's like, no, you're not supposed to be in this container, like the current container I'm in. And she's like, I could tell you that like the first time I met you. Because the first time I met her, I told her I wanted to have like a $300,000 business, and I only wanted like 10 clients and all this other stuff. And she was like, lies. Lies, lies, lies. And she called me out on it, because she was 100% true. That's not what I want. You know what I mean? And so when I think of like all the things you're doing, it's like getting the person to really not only like you said, not like, oh, are they going to respect my thing, right? Like where I'm at, right? So not only getting the person to like identify what they want and who they are and their bigger purpose, but then to stay in line with that, right? Because like a lot of the times, even when it seems like a simple purpose, right? Like when we were talking, like she was saying, before we got on the recording, that, you know, she only posts every once in a while, Denicia only posts once in a while. And that's what feels good in her body, because she knows like the right people will see her post, which I do truly believe in energetics. Like that's 100% like what I believe in too. And that the algorithm is not actually out to get us. But that's what she posts, and she feels more comfortable delivering like in her personalized container of the playground, because that's where her magic happens. Right. But then you were also bringing up the fact that like there's so many people that are like, no, you have to post, or you should do this, or you should go on lives, or you should do this thing. And it's like, that's not respecting where you are and how you know who you are, right? Like that's like why the first thing I do when I start working one-to-one with somebody is I do the human design chart, because I'm like, who are you? Because I don't want to push you. Like coaching for me will never work for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like I want to be scared. you want to be in like the nice fluffy comforter, like, and that's fine. You know what I mean? So, but it's like the respect of like who we are as people, and like the fact that I think when we have such sensitives, like the empaths and the intuitives, and like getting all the signals, it's like nice to have that safe space to be able to be like, okay, which signal is mine versus somebody else's, and then being able to respect everybody else's boundaries and meet them where they're at.
Yeah,
you know, and I think that's huge,
especially as you're like the guide and the facilitator, right? So like that's like something that I recognize, and then something that I really take into consideration a lot, right? Like whenever I'm speaking with people, because it's like, and that's why I say it's like, it's this no judgment zone, like, and it's this stemmed from the way that I practiced. And so like with patients, because the thing is that I have to manage my own expectations, and if I'm to create an environment for someone's being to come out and to blossom, right? I have to be aware of my own implicit biases, my own like ways of thinking, and seeing that that's me versus them, right? And so like for myself, like even like I was saying, I'm working with other introverts, empaths, and HSPs, but I'm also that. Like I have those same qualities, similar qualities. Now, for a lot of people to understand, like the way that it expresses for you is going to be different. And honestly, that's what I love about this, is because I don't know who I'm getting, and I don't know how it expresses itself for them. And at the same time, it's like, it's my curiosity of understanding them and learning them. It like piques their own curiosity of themselves. And then to like on the playground, I consider it a practice ground as well, right? So like where they may be so they get to the point of discovery for themselves. So this is what I call the Trinity of perfection. it's discovery, being, and environment. So those three are the three phases and that are taken into consideration for you to come into your perfection. And it's the perfect playground, because perfect, the root meaning of perfect is actually whole and complete. So this is why those themes are themes that I see as part of aspects of our lives. And so the intention is that when you come on the playground, we actually are playing with your wholeness. We're playing with connecting your wholeness. So where you felt disconnected, and based on environments, right? This is a place where it's like, actually, I do see that we can connect all of it. So are we connecting internally, where those holistic signals are being, like, we're looking at the meanings with them and seeing how they are connected? Yes. That's also happening, but we're also going out, and at the same time, so another dimension, another layer is you in your wholeness connecting. So in the connective, how that translates. And so that means you would need to know your role. You would need to know, like, if you are here in your perfect authentic self, knowing like your core desires, this is where your perfect magic glitter is. That is the magic glitter that the connective needs, right?
Yeah.
And so, but you'd have to discover, then you'd have to actually do it. So be it. And then we co-create the environments for that to just come out naturally. So, and then that's how I see the physical, mental, emotional stuff kind of like going on the wayside, because, and so it's like, that, I think is why when working with intuitives and empaths and sensitives, it's like you got to know yourself, because then you would become your intuition and your skill of discernment gets stronger. And so that's why, like for me, in boundaries on the playground, we don't set boundaries. The boundaries are already there. So if I'm connecting the body to it, your skin in and of itself is a boundary. Right? Mm-hmm. Your lining of your large intestine, your small intestine, the stomach, that's a boundary. Mm-hmm. The lungs are a boundary. There's a reason why they can take a lung out. It's in its own container. The heart is in its own container. So it's like, boo-boo, you ain't got to set them. They're already there. Mm-hmm. And each of them, boundaries, the form of boundary, the nuance of boundary is contained in each of these, the energy of each of these organ systems. It's just that we have to give them the nourishment for them to be able to do it, and to do it as well, right? So like that's why I'm like, it's already there. You just and the thing is I mean, it's life. Like, we had our childhood and certain things, that would happen. And then it's all about the journey. It's all about that discovery. It's all about the being in it. And it's all about just co-creating and knowing what these environments are internally, and that you would need internally and externally. So you just create it, right? Like you identified, you create your environment for you to do be on stage for your 10,000, right? Like, your 10, 20,000. That's what you're doing.
I got you.
Yeah. So it's like,
that's going to happen.
It's happening. So I'm like,
it is. I know.
Happening.
Like, and I got this. Like, but
I'm just waiting to hear, like, oh, you just went off somewhere. Like, I'm like, oh, go ahead, child. Like, all up in a convention center. And so, like, and I can just see all the lights and stuff going all around.
I'm going to be like, Denicia, I'm going to do it down near here so you can come. And you can stand in the back. It'll be fine. Like, and then you can leave afterwards. I just want you to come and, like, experience it. And then
how'd you know? Like, I'd be in that area where I can see things, yeah, for sure. And then I'll be like, Emerald. Like,
you can sneak in the back. Sneak in the back. I'll get you a VIP pass. It'll be fine. But no, like, right? No, but like, that's the thing though, is like when you were talking about knowing yourself, right? Like, and this is the thing that I drive home for so many women. You put it so eloquently and I love it. And I sometimes wish I had that. Like, if I'm on a stage, I can speak like I got this. Like, I got this connection. And then sometimes when I'm like one-to-one, I'm like, did what I say make sense? Because I don't even know what happened. But what I'm saying is like, this is what I drive home for everybody else. If you, like, there's so many people that I talk to that go, I know who I am. And I'm like, I understand you know who you are. Like that, there's no question. I'm not saying that you are in your body. You've been in your body for I don't know how long, like 41 years for me, right? Like I've been in my body. I know who I am. But it's about that deeper lying thing that we sometimes don't allow ourselves to see for whatever reason. Like we don't allow ourselves to go there. We don't allow ourselves to express that thing. Like the moment that I sunk into, this is what I want. First of all, I became an extrovert. I was not an extrovert. Like I was the person, even as a kid, you'd probably be like, you and me would have been friends because we would have sat in the back of the, we are friends, but like we would have sat in the back of the classroom together, not saying anything. Like, cause that's how I was. Like I was not a speaker. I didn't want to do anything. And then
can I tell you something real quick?
Yeah.
I actually liked sort of sitting in the front. I say sort of because now I'm trying to think of all the different classrooms I've been in. And the reason why I did that is because I could get distracted. So I intentionally would sit in the front, like first rows at UF, huge ass auditoriums. When I walked in the first one and I was like, oh my God. And so
that is intimidating.
To squelch, yeah, I realized that I needed to sit in the front because then that way I didn't actually see everything else that was behind me, right? Like, so that's what I did.
Well, and that was the thing. Like, I get that. Like, but I always did the back because, first of all, one, it was more comfortable because I could lean. But two,
the lean. Like, that is true.
I was the leaner. But that was the thing. That was me. And then it wasn't until I really embraced it, like, recently that I was like, I also realized, like, even up until because I officially started my business almost 7 years ago. And I stepped into it fully almost 5 years ago. So it was, but it was like when I made those choices and I was like, this is what I see. And I didn't even like see the full vision yet at that point, but I made these conscious choices that I was going to start peeling it all back and like figure out what this is. That like I also started to realize, because this is the fear that people have, is like, even though I knew who I was not acting or embodying the person that I actually really was. Like I wasn't doing it. And so the moment that I started to do it, I lost people, I lost friends, like family members aren't talking to me, like whatever it is. And it's because of their own stuff. Like I don't like take that on, you know what I mean? That's a them thing. But it's like my stuff and what I want to do and how I want to fulfill my life has nothing to do with them. And that's how I look at it. And that's why I'm like the biggest cheerleader of everybody ever. Because I'm like, you're doing your thing, which has nothing to do with my thing, which has nothing to do with this person's thing. Well, we can all still work together. Like you're saying, like the connective or whatever, but I'm like, the matrix is here. Like we can all we all have a role to play. And that's why I'm like, when I see other female entrepreneurs, whatever, I never go, I'm in competition with you, even though, because we, like the people I've been talking to on here, some of them are doing almost exactly the same thing I am, but they're delivering it in very different ways. Right. Mm-hmm. Like I talked to another person last week who, I know it's like fairy stuff. But like I talked to one last week who literally is almost exactly me, but she is doing it she has no desire to do like the stage speaking or the bigger work and stuff like that. And that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm in this place. You're in this place. She's almost more like you where she wants that container, you know? And I'm like, this is great. Like there's room for everybody in this space because people that are working with her are not going to have the same energy as the people working with me because they're going to be wanting and needing two different things. Right. So that's why it's so important to not only know who you are, which like I said, I think a lot of people do understand who they are. Because I don't want to insult people, so I never assume. But I know who they are. But it's like, it's about the embodiment of who you are. Because I feel like knowing and being are two different things. Knowing and being.
That's why it's 2/3 of the Trinity of Perfection. Because you can be stuck in the discovery aspects and knowing, but actually not integrating it.
Exactly, because you get stuck in the how. It's like, how am I supposed to, like, because I need to understand. I'm like, no, you don't. It's like, because this is the stuff that I have fought for, like, and I'm just speaking from my own personal, like, I've done this, like, so many times. But I'm like, it's knowing and being. And when you be, you do. Mm-hmm. And then you achieve. And then it all just kind of goes. So versus, it's like,
Mine is an infinity symbol. It's really gorgeously designed of of that Trinity. And yeah, because it's that, like, that's what I was realizing, was that people were
I
getting
just love that.
swirling all around in their head about, like, well, I got to figure it out. I need to know this part of myself. And then it's like, okay, well, what if it was just a little bitty insy peetsy piece that you just learned? And then, so what does that mean to you? Like, how would you integrate that? So now go and be it. And then realize that when you be it, you're going to evolve. And then, because in that process, you actually learn more. So you went back into that discovery phase, and then it's like, okay, well, now with this, then how do I be that? And so then, like, that's where I saw, like, that's my role.
It's never ending.
Yeah.
It's never ending.
That's it. Like, that's my role in the connective, is really just facilitating that process for people, especially when they are going on that merry-go-round, right? And actually the ones who might even say, well, yeah, I know who I am. And they're like, I'm standing 10 toes on this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, great. Yet you're coming to me describing digestive system issues, or you're coming to me describing skin issues, or you're coming to me describing sleep issues. And it's like, well, those are actually telling me that some of these nuances are actually not quite syncing. They're not quite harmonious. And so let's discover, like, let's see what aspects of this is actually showing up, of your spirit that's showing up. And it's speaking through your digestive system. It's speaking through your sleep pattern. It's speaking through your menstruation pattern. It's speaking through, like, right, like the pain. So it's like, so when I hear that, and I'm from people verbally, and then yet they're coming in to me with the physical stuff descriptions, and I'm like, this is fascinating. I said, on one level, energetically, you actually do know, like, deep in the consciousness, that something is actually disharmonious. And because you're reaching out for support, right? And then it's just saying, like, well, I'm that person that connects that stuff. So, like, so yeah, come on to the playground, and then let's explore this. Like, let's play with this. And I do want to let people know too, like, when I say playground, like, it is a playground, literally, like, virtually. But it's also, and it's the activity of play, but it's actually an acronym as well. So it stands for the potential in learning about yourself. So really, it's through this activity, through this being, through going through the process of the Trinity of Perfection, you're really actually opening yourself up to potential. And at some level, we're going to play in the curiosity, because you can set that intention, but then still be open to what actually, there could be something else. And it could be something that's completely different than what you might have imagined. But we had a starting point because we had that intention. We're just holding that energy of health. And the root meaning of health is actually whole and complete. Didn't I just say that whole and complete is also the root meaning of perfect? So really, that's what this is this journey of bringing your wholeness together. That's what we're doing here.
I just love how you talk. I'm just going to be like, someone come in here and, like, listen to things. I mean, no, but I love it because you and I teach very similar things, but just in different visualizations. And I absolutely love it because, like, I do that whole, like, you know, so I've always said, for me, it's like more like opening the door, peeling back the onion, because I'm a very visual person, like, when I coach with people. But it's like, I've always been like, yes.
My onion post that I did recently.
Oh, I'm going to have to go find it. But, like, you know, but it's like, but for me, it's like, okay, the peeling of it, or the opening the door, is like the discovery piece, right? Like, you're trying to understand why you're in this situation. Like you said, like, past traumas, whatever it is. Because we're all human, we're leading a human existence, things imprint on us, we have perceptions, and then we want to understand them, because what we've defaulted in our brain as an understanding is not necessarily the understood situation. So, or what it's true, right? So it's like, you have to discover, and then you have to take this in the right space that's not in your brain space, which is like where it's been living forever, just rattling around in there, just telling all kinds of stories. That's what I tell people. I'm like, that's like your old uncle that thinks he knows things that doesn't remember. Like, it's like, back in 20 years ago, like, it's no longer true. Like, you know, it's like the lies, right? And so you bring it back into who you are, right? Back into that space and be like, okay, you discovered it. It comes now. It has a different meaning, and then it's like, is this part of your being, or is this part of something that no longer even identifies as you? Like, right? Like, so there's like these two things that you have to kind of go through, and a lot of times it's just shedding it.
Yeah.
And taking it and removing it. And then like probably like 10% of the time it's like, this is part of my being. This is part of, like, maybe it could have been something that you did like when you were a kid. Like for me, like if I had, this didn't happen to me, but if I had gotten up on a stage when I was like 10 years old and I was like mocked for being on the stage, and then all of a sudden I put that in my brain of like, oh, I'm not going to be good on stages. And then I took that into my body at 41 and was like, maybe no, but this is me. Like, this is what I want to do. This is part of me being in this space, right? Versus like, if it was something like that happened, you know, in my life, like something tragic, that's not me. That's like not even, it's never been me. I've adopted it as a piece of me, but now I can let that go, right? So it's like these two things that are like, what does that feel like to you? And how is that a being, or like this is now removed, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that like...
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, like, as I was listening to you, what I was hearing, as well as just like, so oftentimes when I'm speaking with people and I ask them to tell me like what's going on or whatever, it's funny because I'll mind myself like, I hope it doesn't come off emotionless, because I'm actually a deeply emotional person. But it's a part of my process of trying to maintain neutrality, but then also encouraging others to actually bring neutrality into their experiences, because we all experience different things. And then at the same time, it's like when we apply the meaning to it. So once we apply a meaning, that meaning that's applied to it also has a belief attachment. So it's like, and so sometimes it's actually not necessarily the experience itself, right? But it was the meaning that came with a belief. So like some belief pattern that actually was like the foundation of whatever the meaning it is that we're going to apply, right? And so like
exactly.
And so when people talk about like trying to they're evolving and they're changing and all of that, it's the meaning changed. The meaning of whatever experience it was has changed. And that's like my form of generational or ancestral healing, is that actually it's like this process of, we're celebrating it. We're celebrating literally that you were gifted this strong ability to survive like long periods without food, or hearing bombs, hearing noises, like, you know, that type of thing, because they were looking out for you. Right. And then now what you can do, though, because I think this is the thing when people look for themselves to try to evolve, or they want to be who their core desire that others, you know, were used to, and they know that there's going to be some loss. And so it's like there's even that grieving process that actually, I think that's why people don't want to change, because they actually unconsciously know there's going to be some type of loss. And it's whether or not they can actually navigate the loss, navigate the grief that comes with it, right? And so you have that part. And similar story to what you were saying, you said it didn't happen for you, but like I know for myself, when I was in high school, I struggled when I was in English, and there was this one particular teacher that like all of us like knew that it was just like, oh my gosh, we have her, like, you know. And I had her as a teacher, and she just straight up in a conference with my mom was like, I don't know how to write, like telling me this. And so I believed it, right? So I believed it, and she's saying she's harder because I'm black. She was black. And so there's a lot of those things to explore, right? Like, in how it is that it played a role as I grew up. Some of it conscious, some of it unconscious. But like through my own practices, that clarity came, right? Like when I would hear people tell me, like you said, I can just sit here and just listen to you. I have heard this so many times when I write. Like I've heard that before from other people talking about like, oh my gosh, it's just the way that you whatever. And I'm like, no way, I don't know what they're talking about. But it came to my conscious awareness that there was still this accord, there was still this power plugged into that moment. And
and we all have those moments.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
But and when you come to that conscious awareness though, like it's even seeing what you do with this awareness. Like, do you go and start victimizing yourself? Do you start blaming? Do you start projecting? Those are all responses. Yeah, those are all responses, right? And so it's just like, if you go there, fine, I welcome it. Bring it to the table. Like, just know that when you bring it to the table, you have to just know that it's happening.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it's the release of it. Like it's you can honor these feelings of what was happening. And it's like, I can release that. Like, I can release what's happening to me. Like, money mindset's always been my weird, like, the one that pops up. Like, you always think, like, there's always, like, one or two things. It's like, you think you deal with it, and then it pops back up, and you're like, oh, I thought I'd evolved from this. But it's the money mindset thing. And it's funny for me because I didn't have money issues when I was a kid. I wasn't in a poor house or anything like that. My dad worked really, really hard. He was in the school system. He always worked extra hours. He paid for everything. Like, I was really fortunate that they started like a college fund for me when I was a kid. Like, I didn't have the problem, right? But my parents were always very still concerned about like the budgeting and like telling me what to do with money, that I became like this super frugal, like really overly controlled person with money. And so when I started my business, like the fact that you do have to invest a lot of times, like ahead of what you're actually anticipating to get, in order for you to get it. And so like for me, it's like, it's always popped up sometimes when I do go into an investment situation. And I think most of them have turned out amazing for me. Like, I've never really regretted doing it except for maybe a handful of times. But it's like that thing that pops up for me, and I always make it mean something else. And the thing is like, and the only reason why this is coming up is because I literally had this conversation yesterday with my coach because it popped back up again. And I was like, and I was like, why can't I get through this? But it was because, but every single time I feel like it gets easier and easier for me to like get past, right? And to like level up and do the thing. And it's like, I make it like, I used to do like, I made it mean something, like I'm holding myself back, I'm not doing the thing or whatever. But we were having this conversation yesterday, and she said, and I just said, I just want to cry because I'm just frustrated. And she's like, do it. Like, get it out. Like, get fucking mad. Like, right? Yeah. Because she's like, if you don't do it, it's never going to go anywhere. And like, that's the thing. And I do that all the time. Like, I tell people, and I love how she coaches because this is how I coach. So I need to kind of hear myself sometimes, but I can't say it. Like, I can't always say it to myself. Right. And so it's like, I can sometimes, but not always. And she's like, but I say this all the time. It's like the same thing they're saying. Like, if you need to go there, come to the table with it, do the intentional work that you need to do, release it because it needs to be released. But then to me, it's more along the lines of like, okay, now why are we feeling like a victim? Why are we feeling this way? And like going into that because of the fact that we don't want to stay there. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't, it doesn't feel good. And it's like, there's something obviously deeper than this situation. Cause there's always like, like I said, the onion. It's like, there's always layers. Well, like ogres have layers and onions have layers. That's what I always like,
Shrekalicious. So like, and the thing is it's funny cause, I actually have a post about releasing as well. You might want to check that out.
I'm just gonna just tag you and everything now. It's gonna be so fun.
Because I feel like people struggle even with the whole releasing part because, for me, part being if it's energy, pure energy, it's neither created nor destroyed, so it's got to be transmuted. Then the issue of releasing, actually, like the image that I get is that sometimes it works for some and others it doesn't, because actually you need to pull your energy back. So you actually are trying to extend out more energy from a state that's probably already diminished. And so therefore you're giving over that power to whomever or whatever situation, when you need to pull your energy back. So, and that is knowing that difference, and that discernment is actually a part of the small intestine energy. It's even some nuances as a part of the bladder, some others as part of the heart and the triple burner. But like, so if I'm listening to people and they're describing things to me, probably related to like lower body retention, or they're talking about in certain types of insomnia, certain types of digestive stuff, then it's that. So a lot of people, and I think it's because it's very popular, very trendy and detoxy, like you gotta let it go, you gotta let it go and stuff. And so it's like, yeah, but actually, if you keep trying to poop out or keep trying to sweat out, people can actually feel more depleted. And that's a telltale sign that actually you need to bring your power back to yourself. First of all, I don't do cord cuttings on the playground, so I don't do that. But I do rewire. We repower. We go through that and understanding where the power is, where that link is, and we don't cut it and you don't sever it, because that means you're leaving pieces on either side. Yeah. And it's incomplete. Remember, we're always looking for coming to the completion, into the wholeness. So either it's something that needs to be completely and fully blessed and given back to someone, or it needs to come back to you. And so that is that. So when you really do look at it like that, like people literally doing detox after detox after detox, sweating, menstruating with heavy bleeding, right? They're peeing out a lot. Like those are all ways that the body is removing. But if you feel weaker after, that's letting you know it's like the opposite way.
And it's like it is true. It's true. I mean, your body knows before anything. Like your body definitely knows all the things before anything. But but I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I think I love that take on release. I think that's a perfect way to like just be like, yes, guys, let's monitor our bodies a little bit more for this. Yeah. Because the thing is that like I think too there's sneak, like the only thing I'm going to caveat on this is like there's sneaky releases like that. Like if you're urinating a lot, or you're having all these, like you're sweating profuse, whatever. There's that's almost like the sneaky thing, because you're not, it's almost like an unawareness of it versus like the intentional release when you're like, I just need to cry for 5 minutes because this is what I need to do. Like, so it's like, I think it's like that you really need to be in, but again, it all comes back to being in tune with what you need, right? So it's not about doing something because you need to do something, or you've been told you need to do something. It's about like the intentional releasing of it, which is really coming back home, right? Like, and like going like, okay, what do I need? Like, let me sit here for a second and understand what's happening, right? And so like asking those questions. So, but I have loved talking to you.
And the laughs come out.
I know, right? But I have loved talking to you. I definitely could have you on again for sure, because you were fun and this was easy and it flew by like so freaking fast.
It did.
But we'll definitely have you back on. I would love to kind of dive even more deep into all of these things, because I feel like we could talk like for 2 hours on this thing. But I appreciate you coming. I have absolutely loved. We tried filming. Actually, this is so funny. We tried filming this like 2 weeks ago, and she couldn't talk into her microphone. I was like, man, this is so sad. So I'm just glad that all the microphones were working and everything ended up playing out this time, and all that kind of stuff. So I just had an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I hope you'll come back on at some point.
I'm so happy for you, Paige, getting everything started and going. So yes.
It's going to be fun. Wait for me on that 10,000 person stage, right? Hiding in the back.
At Emily Arena. I see it downtown Tampa, y'all. Like, that's where Paige will be.
It's going ahead. All right, guys. We will see you next time. Have a blessed day, and we'll talk to you soon.